Alright, we're live. Hello! And good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well on this wonderful day. Today, Tuesday, the 4th of March. Yes, as I said, we are live and alive and we're doing well. Today's going to be a fun one. A potentially our most dangerous episode yet. And by that I mean moments before going live, this bolt fell off my chair. Will the chair make it through the hour stream, or will it give out? Only time will tell. But just as you're watching, just know that there is that element of tension running through the episode today. Just to add a little bit of spice to things. But what are we doing today? Well, today we're building a commander deck. But not just any commander deck. We're building a Spider-Man. And also, there is an element of this card isn't actually released for over 6 months. 6 months? 5 months? No, 6 months. Yeah, over 6 months. Which has to be a record on this channel. This is the furthest out we've ever built a deck. So what does Sensational Spider-Man do? It is a white and a blue for a legendary creature, Spider Human Hero. I mean, that makes sense. Whenever it attacks, tap target creature defending player controls and put a stun counter on it. Then you may remove up to 3 stun counters from among all permanents and draw cards equal to the number of stun counters removed this way. Alright, so how are we going to be building this? So a couple of bits they're going to go through first is, obviously, as I mentioned, this is 6 months before the commander actually comes out, and in theory, what will come with that is a set full of cards that kind of synergize with it in some way. You could imagine that there will be more stun counters in the Spider-Man set. We don't have those yet, so we will do it. We will be doing our classic thing of we will be doing sections in the deck, different categories, and then you can fill them in and replace them. Because we are going to have to go quite deep on some of the stun counter synergy stuff, because this card really wants you to put stun counters on stuff, because drawing up to 3 cards a turn is pretty good with this, and that's kind of how we're going to be building it. So the way we're building Spider-Man today is we're going to be putting as many +1 counters onto creatures. Oh, sorry. So we'll give T. Let's restart. We're going to be putting as many stun counters on our opponent's permanents as possible. We're going to be attacking with Spider-Man. We're going to be removing those counters and be drawing 3 cards. Ideally, at that point, we're going to be tapping things down so that Spider-Man doesn't die in combat, and let's do it over and over again. How we actually win, I've got a couple of ideas. I don't just want this to be Voltron, because it's only starting 3 power, and I don't think that's good enough for Voltron anyway. How we're going to be taking the win cons, again, this is very early in terms of how we could build this, but what I'm thinking is, I'm thinking of running some proliferate effects to add to the amount of counters that we're putting on stuff, because stun counters can be proliferated. They are a type of counter. If you proliferate a counter, you can add the type of counter that is on it. I believe, actually. Let's just double check that. That seems to be a rule that it should be quite important stun counters. Proliferate works for every kind of counter. Marvellous. Glad we have checked that before we spend an hour building a deck tech on this lad. So, the win cons are going to be, or an engine is going to be, we're going to be running some proliferate effects, and there are plenty in white and blue that add to the amount of counters that add the amount of stun counters that we're putting on stuff, just so we have more to remove and have more cards to draw. That's pretty cool anyway. But what we can do with proliferate counters, there are some, individual, 1-card win conditions. There's, cards that care about having a number of counters on something, and if you have a set number, you win the game. There is also Infect, which is vaguely thematic with Spider-Man. He was bitten by a radioactive spider. That's a form of an infection. Maybe it's that's a bit more Carnage-themed, but this is what we have to work with 6 months before the set is released. Obviously, you can't buy this commander yet, but you sure can print it. So, yeah, do crack on with that. So let's quickly work on our categories before we just so we have a base so I know what I'm working from. So, this might change during the deck construction, but stun counters, I think I'm going to want around 24. Are there 24 stun counter effects in Magic? We will find out momentarily, but I think that's a quarter of the deck is roughly what I want for this. Interaction. This might seem a bit intuitive because, or counterintuitive because stun counters, in theory, are a form of interaction, but hopefully there'll be some overlap here. Like instant speed, stun counter effects will cross over with interaction, which is good, but we're still going to need to permanently exile. We are in blue and white. We'll have Path to Exile in the deck just because it's good. Alright, let's draw. Again, around 10 bits. And I know the commander does draw us cards, but we need bits to help draw us to our engine so we can then draw a bunch of cards and push us over the top and win the game. Like the card draw on Spider-Man, we want to be, we want that to draw us to our end game, not draw us to the point where we get it activated. So we need card draw to draw us to the point where we get to activate and start doing our cool engine, and then once we have that in place, that's when Spider-Man takes over, as it were. Alright, ramp. Just making sure you can see this. Apologies. Ramp will also be, we'll start at 10, and then maybe go up from there. Protection. This is going to be pretty high. This is probably going to be about 6. Because this is a deck that is really built around the commander. I mean, we're building Spider-Man, we want him to be in play as much as possible. It being only 3 mana is quite cool for an engine piece. If we can get the bits around him, I think this could be pretty cool. Win cons will be the rest of the deck, so that's 30, 40, 50, 60. Win cons, 6. Math. Yas meow. Does that work? Is my math good on this? 10, 20, 30, 54, 6. Okay, we might cut down. We're going to get... So we are going to... Yeah, from a numbers point of view, I did want about 8 proliferate effects. I've probably spelled proliferate wrong. So we are going to need about 8 bits of overlap somewhere in stun counters with interaction and... Yeah, with interaction, basically. That's where that's going to overlap. But I think that's a good base for us to start with. This will give us the energy. See... Sorry. More importantly, the cat's coming back. Hello! Meow, you can help us build Spider-Man. Meow. Alright. So we have Spider-Man in. Let's... Alright, so there's a few things that we're going to look for first before we start going for more generic-y bits. The first thing is we are just going to look at stuff with stun counters. Meow. Alright. Stun counter in white and blue. Alright, cool. So there's 45. So we don't have to run all of them. We can choose. Good, I love this. We do want... Let's do by curve, actually, for this. Alright. Ooh, okay, so starting off strong here. Sleep Cursed Fairy. I think I saw this in the comments yesterday, so yeah, thank you for that as well. But it's a 1-mana 3/3 that comes in with 3 stun counters on it. Spider-Man doesn't say... Then remove up to 3 stun counters from among all permanents. It doesn't say opponent's control, so that's pretty snazzy. This is really good. This effectively comes in 1 mana for 3 stun counters, and we can remove them off our own things. Ooh, okay. Whoever said this in the comments for a previous video, I love you for this. Apparently, when I've been copying and pasting into here, there's a better way of doing this. Let's see if this works. Do drop and drag. Oh my god, it worked. Okay. Game changer, everyone. The channel is way more efficient now. You can drop and drag from Scryfall into Moxfield. Alright, this might actually make me delete my tapped out account. And move stuff over. Okay, cool. Love that. Alright. So there's a nice little hack for you all, but let's keep going through it. So we do want good ones. Enter the battlefield, you make page generic when you do... I don't want to be paying 3... This one seems fun. This seems really good, actually. Flood Pit Drowner. 1 and a blue, 2/1 flash vigilance. When it enters, tap target creature and opponent controls, put a stun counter on it, and then 1 and tap it, shuffle Flood Pit's Drowner, and target creature with a stun counter on it into owner's library. So this is... I like this, because we can do this and the shuffling away. It doesn't have to be the same creature that we put the stun counter on. So with one of our other effects, we can put a stun counter on something and shuffle it into our shuffle it into our opponent's graveyards. That's pretty good. That makes stun counter removal way more permanent. So drop and drag. Oh, I love it. Phenomenal. All right, tap target creature opponent controls, put 3 stun counters on it. This is just going to get in because I think we need it. Impede momentum. Tap target creature, put 3 stun counters on it. Scry 1. I mean, that's the thing. With our commander, we're effectively adding Ancestral Recall onto all of these cards. That's pretty good. That's got to be good. Love that. Don't think so. Flash, enter the battlefield. Okay, an X spell. Okay, ooh, and give our commander hexproof when we attack with it. I like this. This is pretty good. So, Lost in the Maze, X blue, flash. When it enters, put X... Enter the tap X target creatures, put a stun counter on each of those creatures you don't control. That's pretty good. That can put a bunch on. Really good late game. Okay, cool. So, we probably are going to have to consider these as a removal just to make the deck function. We probably will top it up with a couple of more permanent bits, but just to make the numbers work, I do think we are going to have to include these as removal. Tap target creature, you can put a stun counter on it. If you do, put a stun counter. Ooh, okay, this is also great. Sanctuary Wall, 1 white. 0/4 Defender, 2 and tap, or 2 white and tap. Tap target creature, you may put a stun counter on it. If you do, put a stun counter on Sanctuary Wall. So this puts 2 stun counters for each activation. We love that. Get in the deck, please. Stall out. Tap target creature or vehicle, then put 3 stun counters on it. We're going to be running all of these, I feel. Tap target creature, opponent controls, put 3 stun counters on. Ah, good. They've just made the same card with different names and minorly different abilities. These are all going to get in the deck. All the 2-mana ones anyway. Right, let's go up. Crime Stopper Sprite. Additional cost to cast a spell. You may collect evidence 6. Flying when enters tap target creature. If evidence is collected, put a stun counter on it. That, no. 3 mana and an additional level. We're not doing that. We want... Stun counters already have the tricky thing of we have to be putting stun counters on stuff. It's not permanent. That's already one step of engine. I'm not adding an additional step of, like, you have to collect evidence. Like, that's not what we're doing. All right, 2 and a blue. What do we do? And it enters tap target creature, opponent tries to put a stun counter on it. Can't be blocked, which is fun. I'm going to put it in, but I'm open to cutting it. Again, I really want cheap ones here. All right, Referee Squad. What do you do? When it enters, tap target creature, opponent controls, and put a stun counter on it. Again, this is... I'm going to put Referee Squad in. But I want multiple stun counters. I don't just want 1 stun counter per effect. Scroll of Isildur, here we go. Gain control of up to 1 target artifact for as long as you control Scroll of Isildur. And the ring tempts you. Oh, okay. I like ring temptation on Spider-Man. Let's cross our IPs, everyone. And then, by opponent level 2, tap up to 2 target creatures, put a stun counter on each of them. That's good. And then, draw a card for each tapped creature target opponent controls. That's very good. So that will cross over with card draw as well, which is pretty nice. I need to find a way of using tags in this and actually drop and dragging them. If anyone knows how to do that, if you can drop and drag into tagged categories in Moxfield, that would be phenomenal, actually. That would save a lot of work. But hey ho. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, Shackle Slinger. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, choose target creature. Alright, this does require us casting 2 spells a turn, but that is doable in a game of Magic, and it's repeatable, so you can get in. Alright, Solitary Sanctuary. When it enters the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls, put a stun counter on it. Whenever you tap an untapped creature and opponent controls, put a counter on target. Okay, so this just puts 1 time counter on something, but it can buff up our commander. That probably means it gets in. Stall for time. What 2 creatures? 4 mana to put 2. No, that's bad. Oh, Succumb to the Cold. This is, best card we're going to be putting in today. The fact it was my one only preview card Has nothing to do with it. Watch the video. I think it's pretty good, actually. Tap up to 1 or 2 target creatures opponent controls, put a stun counter on each of them. One card puts two stun counters on the board. We love that. And it's an instant as well. Get in. Ooh, trap the trespassers. Each player secretly votes for a creature you don't control. Then these votes are revealed for each creature with 1 or more votes per... Okay. Yep. 3 mana, instant to potentially put 3 stun counters on the board. That's getting in. This one's quite fun. Zygon Infiltrator. Effectively, this is a clone effect. But this comes in, and it's a repeatable way of putting stun counters on stuff, so that means it gets in. We're up to 17. Alright, whenever you cast a spell with my add... This one's going to be tricky. I don't hate the fact that all of this just seems too expensive. Oh, God. Invasion of Kamigawa. When it enters, tap... Stun counter on it. No. Tap up to 2 target artifacts, puts 2 stun counters on it. Yes, perfect. Again, if we're going up in mana, if we're going to 4 mana, I want multiple stun counters. I don't want 1. Involuntary cooldown puts 4 stun counters onto the board. Marvellous. Okay, hold on, what do we have here? Enchant creature, you control enchanted creature. When it enters, tap target enchanted creature. If the gift wasn't promised, put 3 stun counters on it. Okay, perfect. This can be a... what do you call it? A... blah, 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 blah. Take control, a mind control effect. But it puts 3 stun counters on 1 card. Perfect. Get in my deck. Alright. Molnir. 4 generic. When it enters... Attach it to target legendary creature you control. Whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls and put a stun counter on it. Then Molnir deals damage equal to the number of tapped creatures that opponent controls. I mean, that is kind of everything this deck is doing. And it's quite funny to give Spider-Man Thor's hammer. I don't know. Does he... My Marvel lore is better than my Final Fantasy, SpongeBob SquarePants, and... Avatar: The Last Airbender lore, but let me know if if Spider-Man ever wields Thor's hammer in the comments, because that'd be pretty vibey. Alright. Out cold, probably getting in, it can't be countered. Tap up to 2 target creatures, put a stun counter on each of them, investigate. Cool. Marvellous. Because we're going up in mana now, I really want to put them to be putting a lot of stun counters on stuff, so... Cherie of Numbing Depths. When it enters, tap target creature opponent controls. Put stun on it. Whenever you tap 1 or more untapped creatures your opponent controls, draw a card. Okay, cool. Puts a stun counter. Hello, are you coming back? The cat does this thing where effectively she comes and says hello, comes for a cuddle. We love that part. Then she goes off and then comes back and then kind of meows, running around the room, being like, oh, I don't like you, and then comes up to me and there's like, want cuddle now. So she's had her breakfast, and this is fine. I'm glad you had your breakfast, darling. Alright, let's keep going. Put 2 stun counters on up to each of 2 target tapped creatures. Up to 2 target tapped creatures. That means they have to be tapped. I don't like that as much. Oh, it does sort of each non-psychic permanent. So this is going to go in... We should hopefully have the ability... Things should be tapped down by this. So this doesn't tap them down themselves. They have to be tapped in order to put counters on it, but I think that's still okay in this deck. We're going to have stuff for it. We're really going up in the mana now. Let's see what we have. No, I don't want 1 target creature. I want target player draws 3 cards. Gives promised, put tap target creature opponent controls, put a stun counter on it. When fear ability enters, tap up to 1 target creature opponent controls, put a stun counter on it. I want multiple stun counters at this mana. I tap up to 2 target creatures, put a stun counter on either of them, then put a stun counter on either of them. Yeah, it's getting in. Here we go. Monstrosity of the Lake. Here we go. Some proper magic cards now. When Monstrosity of the Lake enters, so it's 5 mana, 4/6 already. When it enters, you may pay 5 generic. That is 10 mana. I'll admit that is a little big. If you do, tap all creatures your opponent controls, then put a stun counter on each of those creatures. So I think this is really cool. This is a win con in this deck. It's not a stun counter thing, but... Oh, it is a stun counter thing, but effectively it's a win con. We're going to put it in. Also, the island cycling 2 is quite nice. Early game, it's just going to cycle and get us some fix us. That's good. Watcher in the Water, what do you do? When it enters the battlefield, tap to put 9 stun counters on it. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Whenever you draw a card during an opponent's turn, create a 1/1 blue tentacle creature token, and whenever a tentacle dies, untap it. Untap up to one target Kraken you control, put a stun counter on it. Okay, this is everything in this deck. We'll put so many stun counters into play. We are going to jam the Watcher in the water. Whenever... Alright, Fear of Sleep Paralysis. Whenever it enters... or another enchantment you control enters, whenever you fully unlock a room, tap up to one target creature and put a stun counter on it. Stun counters can't be removed from permanents your opponent's control. What? Stun counters can't be removed. Alright, so that does not work in the deck, because that's everything that we're doing. Landfall, put a stun counter on something. Get in. And then a room. You unlock, when you unlock this room... Blah, blah, blah. When you unlock this door, tap up to one target creature and put 2 stun counters on it. It probably gets in. So, we went a bit over there. We do have 27 bits of do cool... 27 ways of putting stun counters on stuff. That's pretty good. I'm kind of okay with that. I think that's a good base. Effectively, we are running every version of this that is good currently in Magic. When the set comes out, they will probably print more stun counter stuff, which is nice and good. So, because that does overlap with our interaction quite a bit, I think we are just going to add Path to Exile. We're going to run Generous Gift, actually. This is the one that can answer any permanent. We're running Generous Gift just as a way of getting rid of artifacts and enchantments. I think that's a sensible thing to do. I'll put it on screen here just so you can all see it. Although most of you probably know what Generous Gift does. Then we'll add 2 board wipes just to top this up. So let's just do good old Wrath of God. And then a blue board wipe. I can't be asked to put Cyclonic Rift in it. This doesn't feel like a Cyclonic Rift deck. We want things to be in play, I guess. Is it Flood of Tears? I like that card. Floor of... Jesus. Yeah, Flood of Tears, I like this card. 6 mana, return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. If you return 4 or more non-token permanents this way, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. So this is just a way of being back ahead. This is like a... I really like this. For me, this is a great blue board wipe. If you want to run Cyclonic Rift, if you want to push the power level, by all means, crack on. Right, so with 32, I'm going to call that our stun counters and our interaction section. Done. I think that's kind of fair. We do also have some overlap with our card draw, so we're going to be able to be good and actually have a quick look at some more synergy cards. So there's another thing I want to look at, because there was a... let's just quickly load this up. There was a Hilda of the Icy Crown. This is the previous deck that cares about +1 counters, and it has the line of ability, whenever you tap an untapped creature an opponent controls, you do something. So we're going to look for effects that do that. When I think I already have it written down, so we can copy and paste it in. I'm going to look for when you tap an untapped permanent. And look for effects that do that, because our deck is going to be doing a lot of that. Ooh, we've done something like this. Hilda. So we're going to look up the wording on Hilda and see what we can do with this. Because we're going to be doing this a lot. Whenever you tap an untapped creature an opponent controls. So we're going to see what benefits and what bits of synergy we can add, because we're already going to be doing this. Alright. Not as many as I thought. So it is Hilda. I swear there was more. Let's just, whenever you tap an untapped creature. I swear there was more. Right, there we go. Whether these actually synergize or not, I'm not entirely sure. But Hilda of the Icy Crown will get in. Whenever you tap an untapped creature an opponent controls, you may pay 1 generic. When you do, choose 1. Create a 4/4 white and blue elemental creature token. Put a +1 counter on each creature you control, or scry 2, then draw a card. So we're going to be less... We'll classify this as card draw for the moment. But I think that's pretty solid. I get in my deck. Whenever Ice Shorts enter attacks, you may pay 1 drink if you tap creature opponent controls. Whenever you tap an untap creature opponent controls. So this is a synergy card, but I don't think it gets there. This doesn't do what we want in the deck. Oh, there isn't. There might actually be as much as I thought for this part. Whenever permanent control becomes untapped, no. And that might be it for those little cards. So, we have seen Key to the City. I don't hate this in the deck. Discard a card up to 1 target creature can't be blocked this turn, and when it becomes untapped, you may pay 2 generic if you do draw a card. So we're going to move on to our card draw section. I'm going to add Key to the City as card draw, even though it's technically more here for just some bonus evasion. But just having ways of getting Spider-Man through so it doesn't have to be blocked, I think is going to be pretty neat and cool. And yeah, effectively it is a slow, untapped, pay 2 mana, draw a card. But I think that's where we're going with this. But let's... So we do have some card draw in already. Let's just get this big... So this is the deck that we have right now. You can see we have 34 cards. A couple of these draw us cards. So Hilda draws us cards. Spider-Man obviously itself draws us cards. We love that. Scroll of this sort of draw. So we have some bits in here. We don't have the full 10 bits. I'm thinking just with this, let's just actually be... let's just do some cheap cantrips to begin with. Is what I'm thinking with this. Hold on, actually, sorry, I found my Scribe's full search from earlier. I swear there was more that were playable in here, but if it's just going to be this again. No, it is just that. Okay. So, what's this going to... What are we doing then? I think we just want some cheap cantrips, if I'm honest with you. So let's just do... I mean, we can do the good... draw a card in our colours and search by EDH rank. And see what we get. I'm assuming it's going to be stuff like Solemn, Mystic Study. Yes, obviously. This is where, yeah, if you want to add Mystic Study or Smothering Tithe, by all means, crack on. We are going to do... Yeah, let's do our Ponder, our Preordain... We're not opting. Midnight Clock I don't hate. It's ramp as well. Yeah, let's do Midnight Clock. I don't actually have many other creatures. Is that an issue? Probably an issue. They'll come later, don't worry. Oh, so we just added 1, 2, 3. Let's do Treasure Cruise. Why not? Good card is good card. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Tezzeret's Gambit. Draw 2 cards, then proliferate. We can proliferate the stun counters. This is perfect. This is great in the deck. Get in. So I think that was 5. So I'm just looking for card draw right now. I generally want it to be quite cheap, just because, yeah, our curve here, 1 and 2, we are a bit light on at the moment. Do I want them on creatures? I'm not entirely sure. On Shurikai. So we are just looking for generic bits here, I think. I don't think we're going coastal piracy effects in this deck. There is a world where we are tapping down all of our opponents' stuff all the time, so they aren't going to have anything tapped, so we can get through pretty easily. I don't think that means coastal piracy effects, if I'm honest with you. I think we're just going to be going just efficient. Charter Course can get in. I mean, end step, draw a card, then discard a card if you have 15-1. No, we're not going to run any artifacts. I could see these being good, like the Malcolm tile effects. Actually, I don't hate that. Ooh, like the good 2-drops that do cool things. So, like Malcolm, whenever Malcolm deals combat damage to a player, put a chorus counter on it. Draw a card, then discard a card. If there are 4 more chorus counters on Malcolm, you may cast a card you discard without paying its mana cost. So we are going to be doing some proliferate stuff, so Malcolm could be pretty vibey, actually. It does going to go through the deck as well. A couple more. I think we're at 6 dedicated bits. Actually, how are we for numbers? I know the rest of it's fine. So we're on 41 right now. We still need to add 10 bits of ramps, that'd be 51. 6 bits of protection, which would be 57. Win constant proliferate. Okay, I think we're probably going to call it there for draws. We do have other bits already in the deck. We might be 1 or 2 short here, but we can come back to that later. Because we need to get some ramp in here. Let's just have a look at Hilda's ramp section and see what Hilda has. Let's just go to mana artifacts and just copy these in. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put the diamonds in. 7, 8. We already have Midnight Clock. That counts as 9. And yeah, let's do Everflowing Chalice for 10. Oh, so Everflowing Chalice with the proliferate stuff will be quite nice, because it'll have charge counters on it, so we can proliferate them up. That's pretty cool. Right, so we have our ramp. So we actually have a relatively working deck now. We have our stun counters, we have our interaction, we have our card draw, we have our ramp. Let's do some protection. So I know there's 2 cards I want in this deck, because Spider-Man gets his ability when it attacks. So by protection, we want to be protecting Spider-Man, keeping it around in play as long as possible. So because it has to attack, people can go wide in Commander. People can have big board states. Like turn 3 and 4, 5, yeah, cool. Sensational Spider-Man is going to be able to get into the red zone pretty easily. We're going to be able to tap stuff down. But later in the game, people will have 6/6s. And Spider-Man... Oh, if an opponent has multiple 6/6s, we could be in trouble. So what we're going to be doing is running cards like... Is it Dolem's Gate? Dolem... How do you spell Dolem's Gate? Alright. Anyway, it'll be in the D here. Dolem's Gate. Prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to attacking creatures you control. So this means that Spider-Man can attack at every turn, and it won't take combat damage. This is perfect. Oh, this card is 20 quid. Hopefully this gets reprinted at some point. Because this is a very helpful card. This is going to get in. The other one that's going to get in is... Some people don't like this card, but it hasn't got reprinted recently. So this will be a reconnaissance deck. Oh, marvellous. It's gone down to 2 quid. Perfect. But reconnaissance is pay a single white for an enchantment. 0, remove target attacking creature you control from combat. Oh, sorry. Remove target attacking creature you control from combat and untap it. So how this works is effectively you can attack with a creature like Spider-Man. You get its attack trigger, and then at any point during combat you can remove it from combat and untap it. And it's 0 mana, so you can do that with all of your attacking creatures. This is an incredibly broken card, because at a base level, you can attack, and if your opponent blocks and you don't like those blocks, you can remove your creature from combat. So all of your attacks become free. The other thing this does is that there's an additional... So there is a step in combat after damage, and you can remove your creature from combat after it's dealt damage. So effectively, this also gives your whole board vigilance. Very stupid card. 100%, like, it's perfect, absolutely perfect for this deck. Some people don't like it because of the kind of shenanigans you can do. It does become a little bit... you do that thing every turn. You attack with everything. You see how blocks are. And you always remove them from combat after they dealt damage, so that they are untapped. Effectively, this is 0 mana vigilance, and you get to... If you don't like combat, you can remove your stuff from it. In this deck, this is perfect because our commander, it does want to be getting into the red zone every turn. And drawing us cards, and that's pretty good and awesome. So we love that. Yeah, Reconnaissance is a hell of a magic card. Absolutely love it. Alright. Other protection, we're going to add some cheap counter magic now. Negate. Again, so this is kind of the counter spell package that I tend to run in decks, because when we're running counter spells, we are generally doing it to protect our board and our commander, and that means we're protecting it from targeted removal and board wipes. Negate does that. Negate is perfect for this. So Negate Counters the board wipe, it counters the targeted interaction. And offer... There are a couple of more of these now, so there's like Swan Song and this kind of stuff, but this is still relatively cheap. Or it's gone down in price again, which we love. An offer you can't refuse. Instant counter target, non-creature spell. Its controller makes two treasure tokens. Perfect for us. 1 mana, counter that board wipe, counter that targeted removal. We love it. The next thing we're going to do is the more standard Swiftfoot Boots. Quick creature has hexproof and haste. And lightning. This will mean that our commander can come in and attack the turn we play it. Get some more card draw in. We love that. Right, how are we looking? 56? Perfect. Okay. So, let's do some proliferate effects. We have about 10 slots in the deck, 8 if we're being good. So I think we're on course here. Just need to, how do you spell proliferate? So let's type proliferate. That probably works. White, blue. Let's see what we have. So we can add probably about 6 of these. We might be all right because there's 2 alt-win conditions I want to run. So, oh, okay. All right. So we can make some room here. So, experimental augury, 1 and a blue. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand. Rest on the bottom of your random on your library in a random order. Proliferate. Experimental augury is going to come in, and we are going to cut the worst card draw spell that we added. So, Charter Course can... Oh, I can quick tag. Oh, okay. Cool. Right. For next one, we will have worked out quick tags. So we just cut the worst bit of card draw for a slightly less efficient bit of card draw, but that has proliferate, so that's pretty good. Let's just do this by EDH rank. I think curve-wise we're looking pretty healthy, actually, so this is good. All right, so we already have Tezzret's Gambit. We'll add Khan's Bastion, just get the land in there early. Thrumming Bird, I think, gets in. Flux Channeler, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, proliferate. We have actually a healthier... Like, all of our ramp is non-creature spells, as is all of this. Yeah, okay, Flux Channeler will do a lot of work in this. Did we add that? I think we did. Flux Channeler, yep. Ooh, Glistening Sphere. When it enters the battlefield tapped, enters the battlefield proliferate, tap, add a mana of any colour. So this can get in and it can replace the worst bit of card draw. Oh, sorry, worst bit of ramp that we have. So... what's the worst bit of card? Or bit of ramp? In this deck, it might be Fellwar Stone. Thought Vessel, the no maximum hand size might be helpful on that. So let's cut Fellwar Stone. So we're going to get to 64 here, and then there's because there's 2 alt-win conditions I want to run. We're not running you. Ooh. Sword of Truth and Justice. 2 for 2. Whenever a quick creature deals combat damage to a player with an encounter on a creature you control, then proliferate. I think this could be quite fun. Swords are not great anymore, but this one might be awesome, just because we're going to be attacking. So let's put Sword of Truth and Justice in. We're going to run an Inexorable Tide. It's Commander. Let's run this 5 job. Whenever you cast a spell, proliferate. That could put so many counters on stuff. It's repeatable. We love it. I don't hate this. Self-Affirmation just does do a bit of everything. Screw it. Get in the deck. Contagion Engine. Is this really expensive now? It's not. Okay. Whether this is entirely what they were thinking of when building a Spider-Man deck, but Contagion Engine, 6 generic. When it enters, put up some counter on each creature target player controls. So that can really hose a player. And then pay for, proliferate, then proliferate again. That's uncounters for days. Ooh, Ripples of Potential. Proliferate, then choose any number of permanents you control that had counters on them. I don't think this is what we want, but it is a cool card. Ooh, hold on. This card seems perfect. Norn's Choirmaster. 5 mana, 5/4, flying first strike. Whenever a command you control enters or attacks, proliferate. That's really good, actually. That's going to get in, because we are attacking with our commander every turn. That seems phenomenal. And you're coming back again. This is like the 4th time, darling. We are live. My beautiful audience. I mean, yes, they all came for you. Yes, you are the best. Hello, what's going on? Hello, yes, are you alright? She hasn't gone outside yet today. That'll be happening after the stream. Alright, so we're at 64. There is a world where we add maybe some other ones, like maybe we can swap a counterspell for this. There are other proliferate cards in here, but I don't... Alright, so let's go to... So, there's 2 cards I know I wanted to add. The first one is Dark Steel Reactor. Dark Steel Reactor is indestructible. Sorry, it's 4 generic, it's indestructible. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a charge counter on Dark Steel Reactor. Then when it has 20 or more charge counters on it, you win the game. This is pretty vibey. I'm not saying it's good, but with all that proliferate that we have been running, it does kind of go into everything the deck is doing. It does give us like a win con to aim for. So I want to run this. And the other one is a card I hadn't seen before looking for it yesterday. 20 Toad. 3 in a blue. Your maximum hand size is 20. And whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, put a +1 counter on 20 Toad. When you attack with two more creatures, put a +1 counter on 20 Toad, and draw a card. And when it attacks, you win the game if there are 20 more counters on it, or if you have 20 more cards in your hand. So the card draw thing is possibly doable. Like, we have a fair bit of card draw with Spider-Man. It draws us 3 cards. Or can draw us up to 3 cards a turn. This could be pretty good. This is a bit memey, actually, but I think it's funny. So we're going to add it. Right, so this is... Oh, no, we have one more slot because we already have a land in there. Alright. We're going to look for some things now which might require adding or cutting some cards. And that's... We're going to look at some Infect cards. Infect is very good with Proliferate. Because if we can just start proliferating up and up, we can, in theory, take a player out of the game. Because they only need 10 Infect counters. And if we get the first one on them, that means that it's then very easy to just proliferate. You don't actually have to attack them for the rest of the game. Whether it's a full archetype in this, I don't think we're going to get there. But there's a few things we can add to kind of like... As like... I think we can fit a couple of bits in as a nice alt win condition. So Inkmoth Nexus can be free because it's a land. We love that. Plaguemere is a creature that importantly ramps us. So this can be ramped. So we're going to add Plaguemere and we'll cut to the next worst bit. Probably the Signet actually. Arcane Signet. Sorry, Azorius Signet is going to come out. And then, so we still have one slot free. I'm thinking Grafted Exoskeleton makes Spider-Man a 5/5, and when it becomes an attached from a permanent, you do sacrifice the permanent. But just giving our commander Infect seems it seems mean. There's got to be some thematic, like, just alter this to be Venom. I mean, it kind of looks like Venom already. But that's pretty vibey. I think that's where we're going with this. So we're on... Yeah, we have one more slot, because we have 2 lands in already. So let's do Grafted Exoskeleton. That is a nice little backup alt win condition. There are other ones, like we could be doing things like Blighted Agent, if we're going really hard with this. But I think that's as a nice little sprinkling for our alternate win conditions. For utility lands, let's just go to Hilda and look at utility lands. We have about 10 minutes we need to finish with today. Let's just see what utility lands are here. Ooh, Detection Tower is perfect in this deck. Until your turn, your opponents and creatures your opponents control with hexproof can be the targets of spells or abilities. So they lose hexproof. That's pretty good. That means that we can target things with hexproof with our stun counters. That's great. That gets in. There it isn't. Utility, let's just put Scavenger Grounds in for utility lands. I think we'll probably leave it there. I mean, these are effectively free to run. Let's put Castle Vantress in. Nice bit of scrying. And we are going to be attacking with multiple creatures probably. So let's put Minas Tirith in. Cool. I think we're good. The rest of the mana base will just be made up of... I mean, we have 5 minutes, so we can do the mana base. Let's go to lands. So, what do we want? What's the rough split of the deck? Oh, it's mainly blue, actually. That's interesting. So, according to this, it's a main blue deck splashing white. So, how I generally make this work is... For dual lands, I will gem in as many dual lands that are cheap and can come into play untapped. And then, effectively, I will top up the basics more in line with this kind of split here. Let's just get our lands in first. So let's do Command Tower. Let's do Prairie Stream. Damn, I need to cut some of my alarms. Glacial Fortress. Port Town. Come into play untapped. Not running temples. Azorius Chancery is good. Deserted Beach is good. A Darker Waste is great. Why is this card £7? That is wild. Exotic Orchard can get in. I'm kind of okay with all this. Seacombe Coast, been in standard recently, or still in standard, get in the deck. I think we're good with that. We'll run Path of Ancestry, just a bit of scrying. I'm assuming we'll have other humans in the deck as well to help out with that. Yeah, I think we're good with that. So let's close. Let's just make this full screen. So we have, what, 18 lands left? Again, there's probably a better way of doing this. Let's just do Island. And Plains. So 10 and 6 in terms of more islands to plains. Yeah, it's a rough split. You could entirely do this how you wanted. So let's just add more. Add 9 more, please, and add. My math is dreadful. 7 more. Marvellous! We got ourselves a deck. Curve-wise, we're pretty good. No 7 drops, but we're not birthing pods, so I don't think that matters. This is pretty good. Cool. This is fun. We managed to get there with everything I wanted. So we have Spider-Man. We have our put counters, or put stun counters galore in the deck. We have proliferate stuff as ways of buffing up those counters. And then we have... Yeah, we have the win cons of just hitting people with the Spider-Man. We have things like Key to the City to make it unblockable. We have Dolem's Gate to protect it, along with Reconnaissance, which is pretty nice. Yeah, and we have the nice little Infect sub-theme. I think with this build, you are going to be winning with Infect a little bit more than I would have thought. But you will draw a lot of cards and you will get a lot of value. There is we could probably cut some... You could cut the Infect stuff and just go for things that reward you when you draw a card. So that is a way of doing it if you're not a fan of Infect. Draw a card. So there is stuff like... Like Psychosis Crawler, whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. That could actually be pretty strong in this deck. Same with... There was the thing that makes 8/8s. Ominous Seas, whenever you draw a card, put a foreshadowing counter on it, remove 8 foreshadowing... So whenever you remove... Or you can remove 8 foreshadowing counters and make an 8/8. Those could both be pretty good in the deck. I could see myself probably trying to make room for them. I think I'm fine with it as it is for the time being. Maybe we can cut some of the 2 worst stun counter effects and add in Ominous Seas and Psychosis Caller, just because they are ways of killing our opponents with what we are doing. We don't need to do much else apart. If we get our engine in play, this can deal our opponents 3 damage every turn. We could also do stuff there is also artifacts. So in theory, we could also be a number of cards in hand style of deck as well. Cards in. Card in. Hand. I think there's a couple of bits that reward you for this. It's going to be a bit too many to actually search for here, but there's a... What, like things like it gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand. In theory, we're going to be doing quite a lot of card draw. So this could be a nice little Voltron way of going it. I don't hate the idea of being a bit more Voltron with this. Because we are going to be attacking every turn, so I don't hate that as well. That's the thing with this. It's Commander, you can tinker this to your heart's desire. But yeah, those are some cool ways that I think you could take it. Alright, I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. Bracket info. It's going to be a round of 2 for those. So we have one tutor, the Caves of... I don't even know what this... Did we add this card? What is this card? Okay, we're going to cut this nonsense. Alright, okay, I don't care about you anymore. I'm over you. If you're making us... Yes. I'm actually here for Ominous Seas a bit more, I think, because it comes out earlier. But yeah, fine. Ominous Seas. Get in instead. Jesus. Alright, much better. Bracket info. Gimme... Unknown amount of 2-card combos, therefore we are at 2. Alright, whatever. I don't care. Alright, I did my best. We tried. Cool. But yeah, I think that this deck is fun. Let me know in the comments if there's any cards that you would add. How would you change it? Again, this is definitely a deck that, like, this section here, the stun counter section, will change dramatically when the set is actually released and there's more stun counter stuff. But for the time being, I think this is pretty vibey. I think this is probably as well as you can build this deck in an hour anyway. That's where we're going to leave it for today. It's goodbye from me. It's goodbye from the cat. Meow, darling. Cat says meow. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, bright and early, for another deck tech or another video. If there's anything specific you want me to have a look at, do let me know. I do look at the comments. I do get ideas from them. Yeah, the idea for this deck came from someone mentioning... where was it? Did we not add the 1 mana? The one... Oh, yeah. Someone mentioned Sleep Cursed Fairy in the comments yesterday. Got me thinking about how we could brew this. So yeah, so all helps out with the algorithm as well, all that good stuff. That's where we're going to leave it for today. Much love all. We'll catch you all tomorrow. Cheerio. Bye-bye.